Hello, and welcome to Bridging the Gap. Today, we're talking to a leader in the fashion industry that has been focusing on fashion for over 13 years. She is very often known for her drapery and is known as the drape queen within the fashion industry. She has successfully been able to maneuver around the fashion industry, taking African fashion on a global stage. She is the one and only Ejiro Amos-Tafiri. Hi,
Hi,
Ejiro.
Teju. Hi.
Hi, it's always a pleasure having you on Bridging the Gap. So we want to welcome you once again for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. My pleasure, actually. Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So, in true fashion nature, we're going to go and dive right into the conversations. So, I'm just going to ask you questions about the journey and just how you can share tips with people about, what it takes to run a successful fashion brand. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the success stories? And just any pointers they have for people that might be interested in the entrepreneurial side of business in general and how it pertains to fashion as well. So
Okay.
let's dive in.
Okay, so my first thing is I don't think about it as fashion business, to be honest. Because I got into fashion not through the typical. I mean, I studied fashion, but was I a fashion it girl? No. And a lot of people that get into fashion and want to run fashion business start out by having like this unique fashion dress sense, or people say I dress nice. For me, it was a calling. It wasn't like something that I liked to do. I liked fashion, but I didn't know I liked fashion because I was a tomboy. I had brothers, so I mean, I was more interested in playing table soccer and things like that as opposed to dressing my dolls. That was another story. I love doing that. So by the time I found fashion in secondary school and plotted my way to get into fashion school in Yabatech for a tertiary institution instead of medicine, I knew that I had the whole world stacked up against me. Like everything I knew said it was a wrong move.
Wow.
So my thing was not to. I studied the industry. One thing I know that a lot of people, maybe in our climb, don't do is that they don't research. I'm thankful for my science background and my love for maths. My thing is research. So I read a lot of books, newspapers. I went to libraries. I consumed. I mean, before that was way before the internet is what is the internet. The internet is, and there's a lot of information out there in magazines, books, newspapers that we may have taken for granted, or at that time that was the treasure trove of information that we could get. So I did a lot of research, and I remember we even had 10 papers on why businesses fail.
Wow.
Especially fashion businesses.
Yeah.
So my thing getting in the industry, because at the time successful fashion businesses were run by mostly socialites and people that had like the social network to sell their clothes, people that had the financial backing to go big or go home, to do all the marketing and whatever. And I knew I didn't have any of those. I didn't have the social network. I didn't have the finance backing. I couldn't get a loan or whatever from a bank. So it was just, Adrian, what do you have? You have your intuition, you have your skill. And so what did I do? I thought about it like any other business. So first things first, you need tutelage. You need to be able to bank on what you're selling. Like you need to be sure that what you're about to sell, the product you're about to sell is valuable. So I took a lot of entrepreneurial courses. I did competitions. Not just fashion competition. I did basic business competitions. I pitched my business. I wrote a business plan.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I think I owe a lot of my success to those basic business principles that a lot of fashion designers tend to overlook because they're so focused on their creativity and, oh, I'm so good at this. Even though I graduated summa cum laude. I mean, I was best student in my school.
Hey, you go, girl.
Yeah, like I don't think anybody's ever reached my GPA before me and after me.
That's amazing.
But I know that it wasn't. I always told myself like I'm not even being best student was not because I was the smartest. I think it was my work ethic. I would outwork anybody. I would do everything. I'll do the art. I'll do the science. I will do Ajay. My classmates hated me. And I knew what I was up against. I was supposed to do medicine and I chose fashion. So I couldn't play with it. So how bad do you want it? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give? That's something I typically tell people. Like, so when you say things are not working out, yeah, you already knew that this is the kind of country you're born into. Like, so I took stock of my life. Do I have rich parents? No. Where do I live? In Kotwingbe, run 3 bedroom flat. How do I get to school? I take bus, I take bike. So what are my pros, what are my cons? I'm intelligent. I know this thing. I'm an artist. I don't have, my parents are civil servants. I don't have any entrepreneur in my social network or like my uncle aunt that I could look up to. So what am I going to do? Just learn and get information as much as possible. So it was those business courses, like signing up for anything that British Council had to offer, anything that EDC of Lagos Business School had to offer, entrepreneurial competition, stuff like that, and then just learning. And then before I actually quit my job, because I worked in the industry, I wrote a business plan. So I knew what month 1 was going to be like. I knew what month 2 was going to be like. I knew what month 3 was going to be like. I knew what, if I did the right, if things worked according to my plan, what could be the pros? If things didn't go that way, what could be the cons, and how could I manage? So everything was scripted. It wasn't.
This is amazing. It sounds like a mathematical equation.
Because that's my best subject. Yeah. That's my best. Everything in my life, like my staff really hate it sometimes. I calculate everything. I calculate every possible outcome.
Yeah.
I already know what could happen. Well, this is what's going to happen. I'm like, what I told you that was going to happen. Like, so it's calculated.
That's amazing. It's like you have a backup for your backup for your backup plan.
That is, because the only real backup I have is Jesus. But I mean, I don't have any sugar daddy or rich uncle or rich daddy to fall back to. So I better make sure I have a fallback before. Yeah. And then I feel like if you're diligent enough, things always work out. If you're diligent, I'm not saying that at the first try you get it, but if you're diligent enough, you put in the work, if you are focused, like, so when they say, did you know you'd be successful? I'm like, yeah. Because I didn't just faith this thing. There was faith. I prayed. I prepared. And I went for it. And I still researched. At every point I looked at the industry. Who do I want to be like? Who do I want to be ranked side by side? It was written down in my business plan.
That's amazing.
Like, who's your competitor? And I put where I resigned, Tiffany Amber, Joe Balisa, it's Ambassi. Within that first year, I got to be on the same international stage with them.
Wow.
Twice. Lagos Fashion Week and Arise Fashion Week. So I think it's how bad you want. I think if you say something into the universe and if you work your ass off, it's going to give. It's going to come back. And just honor that. And then, I mean, success is sweet when it comes like real quick. Some people call it real quick. It wasn't real quick, but I mean, because I studied fashion, I worked in the industry, I worked from production assistant to head of the design team in 2 different fashion companies. So it wasn't like, oh, it just got handed over to me. And I didn't get the best job because I graduated somewhere from life. I still went through the wrongs, started out as production assistant in a company. And I took that job because they told me I didn't pass the test to be a designer. I'm like, okay, that means my college education is not good enough. So what did I not learn in school that this person? I mean, it was a mistake. I think it was an error. Maybe the production manager did not want me in the team. But I don't think she banked on me taking the job that demoted level. But it worked because within 3 days I was senior designer.
Whoa.
So I have a unique story. And then, doing those fashion jobs was eye-opening for me. I didn't jump into the industry because I wasn't, quote unquote, academically smart. I didn't know luxury. I didn't know how to read, like to behave. I don't know what informed their buying
decisions,
skills,
right?
Their decisions, their buying habits and stuff like that. So I carefully chose the places I worked because I was going to be able to interact with the kind of people that would appreciate my creativity. So whilst I was on those jobs, I did it with my whole heart. Like, I would work till 3 a.m. in the night. I lived in the office at one point. My first job after school, I quit after a year. Even though it was a great job, I got promoted like 3-4 times. Even the owner of the business made me creative director.
Wow.
So, I mean, I could have felt big and good, but I just thought at 4 p.m. I'm done with work. I'm too young for this. In my 20s, I can't be finishing my day's job at 4 and then next thing I'm browsing through magazines waiting for 6 p.m. then I close and go home. No, I'm like, I know another place where they don't sleep.
Yes.
So they had reached out and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to quit this cool job and go for the difficult one where I had to be sleeping in the office, like work till 2 a.m. And that was cool. So my friends would be outside honking, let's go clubbing, Ejiro, leave the office. And I would be like, guys, wait. And, it was fun. I enjoyed it. And then,
You
so by the
love
time the difficult times came while I was doing my business, it was well rehearsed.
That's wild. So, well, what I'm hearing here is that you're up for a challenge. Like you actually love challenges.
Did you see my collection this year?
That is just wild that we're going to get to that. Like that is just that is insane to me. We'll get to that. But I mean, you talked about your story, and it's so very interesting because I'm sure it's very relatable in terms of the way the mentality of our parents were back then. Like, what do you mean you want to study arts or you want to study fashion? You don't want to be a doctor or a dentist
And
or
I
a
was
lawyer.
an all A's science student.
Wow.
All A's. I go only see Yoruba.
Wow.
Like all A's. My parents, like everybody in my life thought I was high on something. Like,
yeah, but then you talk about intuition. Like you just knew that it was what you were meant to
yes.
do. And how did that happen?
Okay, it was SS1. I was a science student, but I was also in my teenage years. I think I had just turned maybe 13 or I was 13 going 14. So, say teenagers wild out, yeah. And being a church girl now, I couldn't wild out doing other things that I thought who wild out doing. So my own was like I wanted to skate. I was a boarder. So I wanted to bail out of school, go buy shawarma, stupid things like that. And like, science is already like you have to study.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't like study. I like reading other things, but not my textbooks or whatever. I hear. Once I hear, I don't forget. Or once I see, I don't forget.
So that's
but
why
science,
you learn.
it's easier for me to learn that way. So at this point, I just wanted fun as well. And I'd always been this child that was, but I guess, best student. So the pressure was plenty.
Yeah.
And at this point, I just wanted to rebel. So I just thought, what? This agreed. My teacher was pregnant. She said, write your notes. I hated that thing. I barely wrote notes throughout my senior secondary school. I don't know how I made it through. I didn't write my notes. Write your notes. Somebody else now teach the class. So, we can't be jacking, like studying hard for physics, chemistry, and biology. And I'm going to apply the same energy to this agric. No, but we're going to look for something fun to do. So I quit the agric class and I went looking for something else that was vocational subject. I went to girls only school. So
okay, what school did
Queen's
you go
College.
to? Queen's College.
Yeah, Queen's College.
Shout out to QC.
Queen's Queen's. Yeah, so I went to the food and nutrition class and it was full. It was in the girls' school. The next class was clothing and textile. And I liked everything that had to do with the vocational subject. I liked all of them. So there was my favorite was Greek. I thought honest to God, I thought I was going to become a veterinary doctor because I just thought I can't be a regular doctor. I want to wear shorts and sneakers or, that's what I really wanted. I went to a boarding primary school.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And we had a zoo, we had farms, we had every kind of thing. So I was used to that grunge, rugged life in primary school. So right from there, when everybody called me doctor, I'm like, veterinary doctor.
Corrected him.
Under my breath, because you can't say that out loud. Like everybody else, like it was ideal to be a medical doctor. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a doctor that, dresses proper. I want to wear like t-shirt or a shirt, safari shirt and shorts and just be strolling around with my hat. I had a perfect image of how I wanted to be when I grew up. Because our proprietor's son, he was hot. That's how we dressed. Oh my God. So that was my thought. So by the time I was secondary school, I honestly thought I would be a doctor, but a veterinary doctor. And then time came to choose. I'm like, okay, sorry, veterinary medicine, let me go find something else that's fun. I can't survive this thing going on with me in my head where I'm just searching for fun and I can't find it. So went to clothing and textile class. And my first day, said, what are you doing here, the science student? You want to come and hide out? This is not a I said, no. So that day we went to Yabatek.
Oh, nice.
On excursion. What were the odds? I wanted to leave school at all costs. Then there was a bus saying all clothing and textile students get into the bus. We are going on an excursion.
How cool is that?
So we drive a few meters or kilometers because it's quite close to Yabatek. And we get there and we go and get into art school. I was still like just feeling like, along for the ride. But when I got to the fashion section, you know how people say you know how it must have felt for Saul to meet Jesus and become Paul. I'm not even kidding you. Everyone talks about being born again. That's my aha moment in my life. It was clear as day. That picture of me at that point in my life is still in that school. In the HODs. In the...
Well, they took a photograph?
Yes.
Wow, how cool is that?
How can it? Like, and I was the main person. This is how I was sprawled over that deck. Like, just lost. I'm like, oh my God, so you exist. Science, art, maths, you exist. Like, I can do technical drawing. I don't have to choose. Technical drawing, which is like pattern drafting. That is Aki. The Aki side of me that I thought, okay, maybe one day Aki. Everything I liked, it was all within this one thing that was fashion. So that's how I got into fashion. It wasn't through clothes.
You know, I love what you just said, because a lot of people look at fashion sometimes like it's like fufu, like something that's just easy. But in actual reality,
it's not.
It
like if you're not good at maths, you can be a good pattern drafter. So my best subject, mathematics, arithmetic, basic arithmetic, then science, like I said, research. You have to research the past, research what's going on, be able to project
the future. Right. So it's like a quantitative equation.
Everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's not making clues and just putting one thing here. So when you talk about success, you have to be able to figure out what people want. They don't know what they want yet. They want to show them what they want. They have to be able to know what the focus is, what kind of colors, what you pick up on those things without people telling you. So you have to have a scientist's mind, a mathematician's mind, a business person's mind, and then a glamorous mind.
Exactly. Well-rounded.
All put into one.
That's absolutely amazing and such a very, very interesting story. So what inspires Ejiro?
What inspires Ejiro? It may seem like cliche, but actually I think I get most of my inspiration from, it's cliche, I'll say God. Like, it's my best time. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do until I get it. So it's not something that you can say, okay. I typically say culture, because that's what I feed myself with. So I like to travel. I like to study people, how they live, what informs their decisions. I just study what makes you tick. What would Teju pick? Why would she pick it? Okay, what kind of life does she have? Is she a socialite? Is she a yummy mommy? How does she like to be seen? How does she want to be? People think about her. So I'm not trying to make clothes to fit you into a box. Like, okay, this line is avant-garde. And this line is no. My clothes speaks to women where they are really successful, upwardly mobile women, but in their different shapes and form. We're human beings. We're all different. We're not all one stereotype. So I'm not trying to make clothes to feed a certain mindset. So it's difficult for me to get inspiration that is towards something, but basic thing I like to consume is culture, and that could come in form of literature, movies, travel, observation. But what really inspires me is sitting there with my Bible, or just praying my rosary, or just being in the chapel, or being in church. Sometimes I have to this is not the right time. This is not the right time. During my fashion show, it was weird. I had a moment just before I came out where I just started speaking tongues at the backstage. It was odd. But those are the moments that really bring out the genius. So when I hit something, I know it. Like when I find a design that is going to do well for the next 5 years, instantly I know. So, and I know it's not because I am smart. And it's not because I am well researched. It's just a gift.
Beyond you,
Yeah, it's just, okay, you can have this. You've been diligent. Take this one. That's how I feel about it.
That's amazing. And so obviously you've gone into the fashion. I think this is the best time for us to actually talk about what you did during Fashion Week. So Ejiro, you did how many pieces in this collection?
80 looks.
Like, how do you... Okay, can you walk us through that process? How do you actually make 80 pieces for a
80
fashion
looks,
show?
so it was over
80 looks.
It was over 120 pieces, actual pieces. Because this is one of it. This is 2 pieces in
I
one
remember
look.
seeing it. Yeah, like just stunning. So can you tell us about like how did that process work? Because I mean 100 and something pieces.
How did that process work? Because how it works is that I don't even know why I'm gathering stuff, but I'm gathering it all through the year.
So I don't know why. Sketches or pictures
no.
or
Maybe fabrics, trimmings. So
you just go fabric shopping. Are you one of those people that you just go?
No. honestly, I don't have the kind of defined process like that. I mean, it's defined when I start to design, it
Yeah.
follows a certain pattern. But I'm drawn to the things that I don't even know. So somehow it's in the spirit. So like I said, I started by praying. So I prayed and worship for a long time. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I was maybe buying this fabric or ordering more of this or seeing something I'm buying. And it was just there in the office. So typically when I was my store is full. So I just enter. When I'm like, MD, let's start designing, I'm like, it has not landed yet. I'm still waiting for our master. It has not landed yet. So when I'm like, okay, now I'm ready. I don't even know when I'm ready. I say, okay, now I'm ready. I just go to the store and I say, bring this, and I gather everything in my office. Okay, speak Lord, I'm listening, and I just start drawing. And then, so that's literally what happened. There was no plan of 1 year. That collection took us 1 month to make. So it wasn't us that made it. It was
Wow.
us, plenty of us, but
Yeah, shout out to your team because it's one thing for you to have the textile. It's one thing for you to say, okay, based on these textiles, I have inspiration to draw certain designs, but to be able to execute is even next level.
well, I think where we are now is a gift of time.
Mm.
There's no way I'd have done this collection last year. There's no way I'd have done the same collection 2 years ago. I'm not going to booga here and say, oh yeah, we're funding it. Yeah, all that make it beautiful. But when you're ready, you're ready. Like I just watched the Tyler Perry story and then here he
Yeah.
was saying he wrote this play in his first place where he grew up. I can't remember the name of the city right now. It didn't work. Like they didn't buy it. It didn't work. Then he moved to Atlanta, and it seemed like it was going to work. But first few times he showed it, nobody showed up to the theater.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 people, and he even became homeless in
Yeah, at
in,
some
in the
point.
pursuit of trying to do theater. And he had given up and gotten a job. He was getting his life together. His mom had told him, "You will never make it." A mom that was like his best friend. And then one day he still heard that voice again. It's like, hey, yeah, I know you called me for this thing, but I've done it. Every time I go to the stage, you don't follow me. So why are you telling me? I said, God told him, you're done when I tell you that you're done. So it's not about you. And then he quits his job, goes to do the theater, and that particular one, it was sold out. And like from then on, it never stopped. So
Amazing.
it's time. It's not oh, I don't think intellect can share this one, but of course, preparedness
Yes.
meets opportunity, meets everything, and then it just seems like it's your time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Very well said. Thank you. Can you just walk us through the creative process of how you go through your designs, just for people that are interested in, joining the fashion industry or are just generally passionate about it?
Okay, so typically it would be something where you kind of figure out what your inspiration is or what you want to your collection to lean towards. So that would be you create your thoughts in what we typically call the mood board. So it could be on your phone where you just put all the things that inspire you, or it could be an actual board and you pin up stuff like magazine cutouts or printed pictures to kind of maybe fabrics or even like smells, whatever it is that is inspiring, you put it all together in one place. And that kind of becomes like your design special area. So how I do that for me is like I said, I put the fabrics there. If I'm tilting towards a smell or certain sort of plants, I get plants in there like nature, videos, pictures, just stuff. Then worship music to set the tone, and then I just go deep or somewhere else. And then I can start with magazines, just stimulate myself, so to speak, and then start to put out the ideas. Typically for me, I start to sketch. So I sketch a lot. Then I cut them down, take out the ones that are not well developed. When I start sketching, the first ones seem like they are getting, but by the time you get deeper, the first ones become nothing. They're just like scattered ideas, and like the more you draw and put them down, it becomes refined. It has a story. It forms its own life. So that's how I put it together. And from there, I would have typically figured out the kind of fabrics I want to use. So the fabrics then come in. I have the pattern drafters. Back in the day, I used to do everything myself. So to
Wow.
redesign, you draft like try to figure, and I still do that. I draft almost everything for a collection because the proportions they have to like figure that out. So when I do the main master pattern, then the cutter and the rest of the pattern team can take it from there. So I do the master blocks to kind of give us a direction as to what kind of silhouettes. Now, if I had a master pattern after that, that will be the person's job. Then work on it together to kind of guide. I want the shoulders more exaggerated this year. I want them slouchy this year. I want the hips more exaggerated. I want the waist snatched. So we have a defined like silhouette that kind of runs through most of the pieces. And the drapes, what kind of drapes do I want? Do I want it complicated? Do I want it simple? What kind of fabrics, the weights, what is it going to say? So then it goes to cotton, and then we do back and forth. We do now do samples to test the fit. You can have a fit model coming, or luckily for us, we have people on staff at that fit models. So they come in, they fit the pieces, and see how it's going. Then you go back to production. Now cut the actual fabric, sew it, embellish, still fit again, move one or two things around, adjust it. We keep refining the collection till
You get it right.
finally present it. Yeah. So it's same thing if you're working with a direct client. So you start with ideas, ideation, and then the first meeting you might come up with something. Typically with me, when I design for people that I've really gotten to know and I know what they're trying to say, I tell them the first draft is usually not going to be what you will get. I mean, it's an idea or putting it down. But as we work towards producing the idea, it would resemble what you've drawn, but it would get refined. So I feel like the more I sit with something, the more something clicks, and then maybe this fabric or this trimming, we don't need it anymore. It's too much, or it's just right, and then we tweak, and then before you get to the end. So it's the same thing with individual pieces, the same process with like a whole collection. But I'll definitely say it's gotten easier over time. Initially, it was more technical, so I followed each way, design, like draw, get inspiration, design, pattern draft, cut, sew, finish. But now, because of the years of experience, the lines are blurred. It kind of goes into each other and is faster. And then I have different departments in the office now so each department is doing their own thing. So you just have to now make sure everybody works with a certain time, put it on the Gantt chart, and make sure that there's a flow so that by the time we need to deliver, we're not lagging behind. Yeah.
That's amazing. And, this goes back to how we are saying, you clearly have a good team to be able to create these, right? So, do you have any advice for like a business owner about synergy when it comes to synergy within a team? How do you make that work?
I think synergy is everything, because if there's no synergy, it's going to keep putting a stomp into what they are trying to do. And if people don't understand where you're trying to go, then they're not going to go there. If you have people on your team that don't see the vision, or maybe they hear it, they talk about it, but they're not vested, or they don't really believe, or they're not really, they're just there for the money, it makes work really difficult. I mean, if you've had to work with people like that on your team, you know what I'm talking about. So the best thing you could do for yourself as a business owner, and more so a creative, because you create, you're not just providing solutions, you're trying to come up with things that will be interest of people will see and say, oh, that's new, or that's a different point of view. So you need the right people around you, because your support is everything. And to grow, you can't do it alone. So you definitely need a team. And if your team is not right, it stunts your growth. It would make work very difficult. And when work is not bearable and it's not fun, productivity starts to drop. So I believe your team and the synergy that you have is everything. And I'm not sitting here saying I've always got it right, or I've had my moments. Like I've had moments where I've had built my team, especially beginning days. It was fun. We were all hustling, And then when things start to happen, sometimes some staff may feel disgruntled, like, oh, why are they not on the same footing with you? So sometimes we don't necessarily understand the dream, and then you start all over again. So it's not easy. I don't think fashion industry, especially in Africa, is also very easy. Like, especially for people, I don't think it's easy for anyone. I don't see any brand that has really just got it as seamless, and maybe like a tech company, for example.
Exactly.
So, and then there's a different kind of energy in the fashion space. I don't know what it is. I mean, if it's garment making, that's different. Like people that sew uniform, that's different. It's even, I think it's a bit easier because it's not like creative. It's more about numbers. It's just like silhouettes. Okay, making this shirt in blue. Yeah, cut 1,000 pieces,
right?
But creative energies, especially in fashion, it can be weird. So, I mean, know what you're. One thing I don't do is I don't sugarcoat it for anybody. Come into fashion, I don't come and tell you, oh, it's going to be easy. Just it's easier for you because some people are standing on the backs of people that came before me, and some
Right.
who stand on backs that on what we've laid.
Yes.
So it will always get easier. I'm not saying it's going to be tough or bad or difficult, but even in America, I mean, if you watch Project Fame and all those things, you can see how tough it can be to run a fashion business, be a creative. So really just if you have great people skills, fantastic. If you don't have, get some or get somebody on your side, maybe your
Learn.
partner that can help you manage that. I mean, because I was not great with people, but I mean, my dream was to run this, build this fashion business. So I had to learn. Before, my mom was at HR for a couple of years
Oh,
because
nice.
she's very good with people, and I was like a mad artist, like like possessed scientist and artist all together. It was just about achieving my dream. So at that point in my career, I didn't really, not like I didn't care about people's feelings, but I was so focused on what I was doing that, did you cry? I beg, shift, But now, with time, I'm more intuitive, and then also be having my daughter and just going through life. I'm more empathic, more easier to relate to people. So find balance. But that's like what I did. I knew that this is not my skill. I'm not good with asking people how was your day, what's going on with
Yeah.
you. My mom was good at that. I had her come into the office. So do what you need to do to survive each phase of your life and each of your business so that you can thrive and last.
Amazing. Amazing. So how old is the brand now?
13 years.
13 years. That's a
Oh my
big
god.
deal.
It is. I have a teenager on my hands
Ah,
now.
you do.
Yes, I
That's your first baby.
do.
That's amazing. So, how has Ejiro been able to remain relevant?
I think it's just not backing down.
Mm,
Because I would not say I've not had the storms really
yeah.
rage at my doorsteps. And I've also been really blessed.
Mm,
And I think I just find joy even in the dark, bad days, because I always say one thing when I'm being interviewed. I'm like, I'm blessed to be living my dream.
mm,
I think back about to myself, that young girl who was always going to be a medical doctor, who schemed her way to getting into fashion school. I made sure I filled jam, bought poly jam
oh my
form,
gosh.
and filled fashion, but wrote sciences. I did chemistry and biology for my in poly jam.
Wow.
Yes, there was just a way I was able to find the cracks in the system and get into the school. I mean, I didn't even study fine art. And so by the time the final registrar was going through everyone thought, they even asked me also, adopted. What are you doing here? Because they would check your YX result and like, what are you doing here? Like, this should be in Unilag. I was like,
Right.
I know, I don't want to go there. It's what I want. So, and then getting the final registrar, and they're like, sorry, we can't admit you into the school because you didn't do fine arts. And I just say, God, let your will be done. And then the school goes to change the requirements to include clothing and
Whoa,
textiles.
stop
I'm not joking.
it.
Like they
Wow.
went to the National Board of Technical Schools to change the requirements of the fashion, including clothing and textiles. Send somebody to my house to call me. Here I was just doing chores, sweeping.
No, you are meant to do this.
Yeah,
Like without a
so
doubt. Yeah.
so having gone through all that, right? And when I was in HND1, my dad had stroke, so there was no, so I
Sorry
had to
to
start
hear this.
working. Oh, I was working and schooling all together. Like I started having losing feeling in my legs. Like it was, we finished school at 5. I sew till 7. Get on an Okada. Sometimes I'm delivering to first stack. Bike back to school. Go to assignments all through the night. Sleep for 2 hours. Back to class. Some classes 8 a.m. Weaving class for textile. 8:01. You don't enter the class. And it's a 4-hour class, 3 unit
Wow.
course, and it's physical. It's weaving. You're weaving ash. You're weaving all kinds of things,
Wow.
and then you miss that class. You can't catch up. You can't follow up. So be able to keep up with that pace and still finish with distinction. I mean, that was, I'm living my dream. It could have gone sideways. I could have ended up in a shop
Yeah.
once, which was everybody thought was going to become of me, because everyone in my environment, that's what they saw.
Yeah.
My mom even forgot that she had shown me a movie, Woman of Substance, which was literally the story of
Wow.
this maid who became a tailor and then went on to build a fashion conglomerate when I was in primary school. And then she told me about her friend who was said that owned the fashion business. Sometimes she forgets all those things. So she had this fear that I'll end up with a shop on the Cotton Road with dust, one table and one chair. Because that was what was like all over, that people
The
could
norm back then,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, so even with the the difficulties, I'll say I've been really blessed. I mean, I've done Fashion Week 13 years, Lagos Fashion Week 13 years.
Wow.
I've done a rise, I've shown around Africa, I've shown around, there's no continent I've not shown at. So am I blessed, or am I going to be worrying about the difficult, the little stumps in the road? That's part of life. If you don't expect difficulties, then how do you expect the glory? There must be, you have to overcome something to be a victor, to be a winner.
Yeah.
You don't be a winner just by
Sure.
Awadi, I'm excited. You have to really go through stuff and overcome those things, and then say, the victorious one. So, I mean, my struggles have been part of the process.
Part of the process.
Yes.
This is, I mean, honestly, your story is so inspiring because you've walked us through the challenges, you've walked us through the success stories. You've also walked us through the process in general. With all of this, somehow you've been able to create initiatives. So can you talk about one or two of them?
So I'm very big on giving back. I mean, I've always done social work, and it's not something I'm going to ever like really talk about. It's just the second part. It's part of me and part of my work with the church. So that's a normal part of my life. I gravitate towards anything social work and giving back. But like formally now for the business, I started the Ejiro Amos-Tafiri Foundation, which is predominantly to help people go back to the basics in terms of education, knowledge, research, because I feel like we all know that like Africa is the next frontier, right? There's no part of the world that hasn't become a fashion power, so to speak, but Africa. And then a lot of our influences are being drawn and used by other designers around the world. So I'm thinking this is the next frontier where the people that don't have like brands in the shops, like all around the world, or have multiple, it's very difficult to find an African brand, homegrown brand, not maybe started in the UK, homegrown fashion brand from the African continent that is in retailed across the world in different shops, maybe in small quantities. But I believe like we can do major
Absolutely
stuff. I mean, everybody's telling us their stories. We're all wearing all their history, their baggage, everything that goes through their minds. We just, because that's what it's people's thoughts that they are putting into clothing. We're all consuming. So why can't we get the world to wear Yoruba Buba and Shokoto and Danshikis and kentes and all kind of things in different forms, in the ways that they will come to appreciate and enjoy our culture just the way they are enjoying our culture through the music that we're putting out. So I feel like education is what's going to be the decider, because now everybody's like, oh, the fashion industry is booming. Yes, we are the most fashionable people on the African continent, the Nigerians, and everyone's kind of looking forward up to us. But business-wise, are we really in the front? No. Do we have garment production companies that are viable, not just for talks and just say, oh, yes, we do. The government is viable, that people come and patronize and you can see the work of their hands. So Ethiopia has this, Mauritius has this. There are other African countries that are actually able to do garment production. And they are patronized by people from around the world. But Nigeria, the biggest African country in terms of population, we have the intellect, we have the intuition, we have we might not be very good at technical know-how. I'll say skill. And I feel it's because we're not patient enough to study. Even if you have a talent, you need to hone your craft. You can't just faith it through. Then you always, all of us will be small loads, and then we'll never really push through. So I feel like education is what's going to get us there. A lot of people don't even know fashion terms, and they are supposedly top fashion companies. They don't really know this. They don't know the words. They don't even know what things. You say God said go day. They don't know what it means. They don't know what it means to have a tech pack. So I feel like that's what I want to propagate through my initiative through my work with the foundation. Just put more information out there, get people to come back to study their culture, like what you did with the fashion museum. I found that very interesting with the fabrics. And a lot of people argue with you, we don't have fabrics, we don't have motifs, we don't have design. I spoke to somebody today, I'm like, what kind of lie are you telling yourself? I started taking her back through stuff. Like, you're wearing Ankara, what kind of pattern is on there? And you say Africans don't design, they are not communicative, we do abstract. Who told you that? You don't allow somebody to come and tell you your history. It's right there for you. Go to your grandmother's things, go to your village, research, check newspapers, like find out stuff, and then be proud so that you can now give birth and put out stuff that People are going to always shut you down if you let them tell your story for you. It will never be your true history. Look at the history of Nigeria. Is it the honest history? What we study, is that the history of Nigeria? Even the history of the world, somebody discovered River Niger, discovered BT Bowl. Do you know how many years that river has been flowing? People have been doing sacrifices in there or praying and getting answers, and you come and say you discovered. So we need a lot of education.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
do. So that's work that I'm doing with my
That's
initiative.
amazing. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm a sucker for history, so I love the educational aspect of it as well. And that's, you know, essentially why, you know, the Fashion Museum was birthed. So I'm here. I'm absolutely here for it. So you're known as the drape queen. Yes. Anything drape, I can identify your pieces anywhere.
Oh, thanks.
So are there specific textiles that you enjoy using?
Anything that is light, I mean, anything that has
flows.
movement, anything that flows. When I started out my business, the easiest one was like chiffons and then jersey. So I worked with that for years until I said, you know what? I can't, chiffons and jerseys, and I have to print to really be unique. But I'm like, you know what? Our continent, and especially in Nigeria, let me speak for myself, most of our indigenous fabrics are woven fabrics, and I want to use ashoke, and it's not going to drape.
Like this.
Yeah. And it's not typically going to drape. But what can I do to it to make it seem like it's a movement? So I started finding ways to use them now. I find ways to maybe mix them with other combine. Yeah. So the whole look is still very fluid, but we're now able to stuff. So my thing is, you can't see an Ejiro Amos-Tafiri piece and it's not doing stuff. Like, is it that it's a tapestry, like it's a mixture of things together, it's like a collage, or it's moving. So it's going to definitely get your mind, like, it's not static, like a dress. How's it doing that? So that's my thing. I just like movement. So whatever is light, whatever is airy, and I'm in my organza phase.
Yes, I know. Beautiful, stunning. This is clearly one of your pieces, like you said before. Is. Amazing. So what's next for Ejiro Amos-Tafiri?
Oh, what's next? We'll find out, I guess. But what do I want to achieve? Yeah, I guess we'll find out. But I don't have all the answers. But what have I written that I want to? I've always said that, okay, by the time we're about 15 years, I want us to be institutionalized. So I'm really particular about the business side of my business right now. I'm not so focused on I've got a lot of awards. If it's all these things we're chasing and trying to put ourselves on the map, I will always do that. That's certain things like constantly do PR, put yourself out there. But what do I really want? I want an institution, and that's what I'm building and working towards. I want my business to be a business to be reckoned with, not just a fashion brand.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So earlier on, you talked about how, unfortunately, African fashion businesses are not yet at a point where they are in multiple fashion
retail
stores. Retail stores all over the world. Is there anything that you feel like fashion designers should be doing differently so that they're in those stores?
I mean, I feel like everyone in the ecosystem right now is really doing the most. Like, they're doing a lot. Like, it's not easy being a fashion designer. Like, I know what I've sacrificed to achieve whatever I've achieved. So I always, first of all, say kudos to everybody out there putting in the work. It's not easy. It takes and takes and takes. And my hope and dream, what I'm really about is this thing has to pay. This also has to pay beyond just, oh, congratulations, people clapping for you. It should be able to be a generational business. You should be able to have systems and outlast and outlive people. So I think what I would just say we should focus on more is the business side of things. And I will not call it business side of fashion, just business for business. Make business decisions. Who are you networking with? Who are you aligning yourself with? What is influencing your decision? Not so much fashion business, because really, if you're going to do things the way things have always been done, you're not going to get a different result. So you have to think differently.
Think outside the box.
Which is how I started making money in fashion.
Amazing.
I didn't have money to set up a shop. I didn't have money to pay for any advert. So I found other ways. I went the trunk show route. I'm not trunk show, they call it, but here it was just exhibition. So started with Le Petit Marché, research, made sure that when I went there, I made a splash. I went over prepared, and of course, within a week, we were on the front cover of Complete Fashion magazine.
Amazing.
And so, if you want success, you have to look at this thing well. Don't just, it's good to have faith, but don't faith it.
It's beyond that.
God does not even like, he say he will bless the work of your hands, meaning you will work.
Right.
Then he will bless the one that you
have done.
If faith without work is there, don't faith your success. Don't be imagining what's not imaginable. When you will know when the thing you are doing is enough for you to have good results. You will know. You yourself be like,
yes.
You know when you have those moments. Even in school, you write an exam, you're like, oh, boy, you can't tell me nothing. At that exam, I've aced it. You don't finish an exam, I'm like, God, I beg you. Now come, A1, work well. It's a lie. It's not possible. People that are getting A1, they know. Even when they mark them wrong, they'll say, come, remark that script. Let me see. It's not possible. I know it's only one answer.
Right.
So if when you get it right, you know. So let's dial down the faith thing.
Yeah.
I know we work really hard, but let's dial down the faith thing and really, And we all know what the problem is. We did not study this thing. Most of us did not study it. We're just cool people. Say you can design, you can make clothes. Take time. You don't have to go to a full fashion school. Even with the fashion schools you decide to go to, consciously choose your curriculum. Right. Be conscious of what you are paying for. Yeah. You won't go and study medicine in school that will teach you herbal medicine that you won't be able to measure. You can't prescribe. You will be sure. Am I doing natural medicine? Okay, I decided by myself.
Right.
Don't just say I went to fashion school and be feeling cool and you don't know what you're saying. So you need to be able to stand toe to toe. And that's when you know that you're doing something right. When you benchmark yourself with international brands and you are still able to be seen and not the hand-me-downs they keep giving us as Africans. Like I'm saying it's good for now, but
there's more.
Once you are the person they gave hand-me-down, you are the last. You are always going to be the last. Why not take your seat at the table? If they will not give you table, create another table by yourself.
Right.
And stick there.
Amazing.
Tyler Perry did it in the movie industry. You can do it in fashion.
In fashion, absolutely. Yeah. That's amazing. Honestly, these conversations have been inspiring. really, really
even
inspiring.
For me too. I'm very uplifting because it was a long day. Fashion can be tough, but at the end of the day, when you look back and see why you've done it and you see what's doing, and for me, just having people still have those clothes in their wardrobes, like absolutely. I set out to be like, I want to make clothes that people are going to find it difficult to get rid of. And then to constantly get that feedback that dress 10 years ago is still my favorite. I have to lose weight to get back. It warms my heart.
Amazing.
It warms my heart. And I'm here for the rest of the journey.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, you've walked us through the challenges, you've walked us through the positives, you've walked us through the education, you've walked us through the awards and the the initiatives that you've gone through. Like I said, this has been really inspiring. So do you have any final words for creatives that are looking to start today, for example, as we wrap up?
Yeah, I'll say know yourself. Know yourself. And to thy own self be true. And run your own race. Not everybody's race. Not an award-day situation. You see you. Or except you just want to be one of these. But if you really want to stand out and be willing to pay the price. There's nothing that comes out of the price. So figure out what the price is. Have an idea of it. And be willing to pay the price if you really want success, because nobody's going to tell you that any form of success came without a price. There's always a price to pay. Yeah, be willing to pay the price.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you once again, Ejiro. This has been amazing, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Forward to working with you guys too. Well done, people. I am so inspired by how you curate your events and even just being so steadfast and particular about this fashion conversations. Well done, Teju.
Thank you, Ejiro. Appreciate you.